going on, folks? Luis over at Creator Street Designs, and welcome to another episode of Builder Chronicles. I'm going to use this forum to be able to show you all of the screw-ups, blank-ups, mess-ups, and all-around junk builds that I run into on a daily basis. Not going to call nobody out. Not going to sit there and say who the shops are. You folks know who you are. If it bothers you, sorry. As they say, if the shoe fits, lace it up. We're going to be dealing with this one right here, which is a 7-year-old's cutlass. And man, let me tell you, this thing has got a story to tell. So the story starts with this car. It's a very nice car, came out of Louisiana. It's a convertible 70 Cutlass. And you do see what I had in it. I'm going to throw up real quick a picture of the way that it looked when I got it. And it ain't anything even remotely close to that. As you can see, both engines weren't the same. Basically, this customer paid to get an LS swap done, and he had a 6.2 and a 6-speed, and dropped it off at a shop. And the shop, for whatever reason, took however long they wanted, almost a year and a half, and they gave him what you guys saw. There was a lot of issues with this car. First of all, he was quoted that he was supposed to get big brakes, and well, they're pretty stock. Those are big brakes. These are stock. The next thing that he was supposed to have gotten was a brand new harness. Well, they did give him a new harness. One of these things. Now, I harp on this all the time because I don't condone the use of cutting down an old harness, using old plugs, old connectors, old everything to make it work. I mean, this makes zero sense. If you're doing it for yourself, you're in a garage, you absolutely have no money and no choice, then that makes sense to do. But who rewires a house with old wiring? Who, better still, builds a brand new house, pulls all of the old wiring out of an old house, disconnects some of the things that they don't need, keep some of the things that they do need, and then say, well, yeah, it's a brand new harness. With a brand new electrical system, we're good to go. As you can see, this is an old harness. It was out of a car that was reworked to use. Now, it may work. It might be acceptable to a lot of you folks. And again, you know, the sloppy mechanics of the world, you folks know who you are. It's good for them. That is a no-no for me. This right here is a junk pile thing for me, because this is what we use. And just so you folks can get an idea of what this is a brand new harness. Comes with all of brand new wiring, all new connectors, all new everything. Look at that. Even the CAN wires are looped together. All new wires, all new connectors, loomed up the way that you want it. It's even nicely labeled. Has everything you need, nothing that you don't. Heavy duty relays for fuel pumps and everything else. And this harness is made by the good old folks over at Modern Vintage Systems. Now, why do I use them versus other companies? Be honest, I've ordered almost 40 harnesses from them. I'd have to count. I think I'm almost at 40. And I've never had a single issue with a single one. They do charge a little bit more than the eBay guys. They do charge a heck of a lot more than those guys. But they test them, and they make them to fit each and every application. I mean, it's made specifically to what you need. Everything is put where you want it, how you have to have it. All the relays are where they need to be. All the wires, I mean, even the fuel pump wire is nice and labeled. And it's all as OE style as you can get. So that right there is a definite. The next thing, as you folks can see, this car has long tube headers in it. Well, the previous shop sold the customer these wonderful Patriot cast iron manifolds and had them installed in his LS swap because, according to them, long tubes won't fit. Sure, they fit just fine there, and they fit just fine over here. The major issue that people have with fitting long tube headers is they decide to use the cheapest motor mounts they can find. They go out and get some cheap eBay craps. I think I have the original mount somewhere around here. And they just use whatever they can find and just shove it in the car and make it work. I'm here to tell you that this is not the way to do it. There's a lot of good companies that make mounts, that make mount and header packages. Important. I use a lot of Holley stuff because they make their own mounts, they make their own headers, and they deal with everything that is going to come in between. So if you buy a package from Holley, you know that their accessory drive, their mounts, their headers, and all of their cross members and everything are going to work with your application. Yes, does it cost more? Of course, duh, hello. But you don't have to worry about it fitting. It goes in the car and it works. Now, in doing this as long as I have a good idea and understanding of what I can mix and match. So I'm using specific mounts with a low mount AC bracket from Holley and front Holley brackets as well for the front accessories with this supercharger. Now I'm going to be making a adjustment to this to be able to put a different tensioner on it, and the good folks at Magnuson sent me over a blower. So this is going to work nice. The next screw up of all of this was that the engine was supposedly cammed and rebuilt. And as you can see, it wasn't rebuilt. You know, it wasn't cammed, wasn't rebuilt for sure. I mean, they just reused head bolts and had a VVT cam, which doesn't solve the problem that these AFM/VVT DOD engines have, which is the AFM or active fuel management lifters tend to collapse. So when you do a DOD delete, you pull the heads off, you put all 16 lifters the same, and a good cam. The cam we're using in here is from Brian Tooley Racing. And you slap it back in the car, never have a problem. But for whatever reason, that shop thought that charging, you know, whatever they wanted to charge, which was 4 figures to do a cam job, just throwing in a VVT cam would make sense. That is definitely no bueno. The other thing is they were using a truck accessory bracket. The good folks at Holley make a nice front accessory kit that allows this to clear. So when they were using the truck bracket, the alternator, the top of it was hitting, and the whole top of the alternator was ground down just so it would clear the hood, which is, I mean, stupid. The good part about doing swaps, if you take the time to do the research and actually call companies that sell the parts, they're going to give you everything. But yes, sometimes the more expensive companies are going to be the way to go because you don't have to worry about stuff fitting. I use Holley on almost everything that I can. Like that car, this car, and that truck over there, and on and on and on. I mean, they make really, really, really nice cross members and so on and so on and so on. The other thing that was really, I guess, alarming is that they tried to sell this gentleman a stock style radiator. Like literally like a plastic tanked radiator. When you have aluminum radiators available with dual electric fans. Why'd they try to sell them junk like that when this is out there? Beyond me. But again, it is what they do versus what I do. One of the things to make your swaps go as easy and as painless as possible, to not fall into that whole routine where you're spending thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars trying to finish something because it's not working, is keep it simple, stupid. OE works. These engines were designed for 300,000 miles between rebuilds in 6,000-pound trucks, 10,000-pound gross vehicle weight. Yeah, I think it can handle an Oldsmobile. So you don't need to go and spend money on racing plugs. You don't need to go and spend $1,200 on really expensive headers unless you want to. You don't need to go and get these weird-ass sliding motor mounts so that you can put the motor where you want and then try to figure out which eBay headers you're going to throw in. Do you get my point? Keep it simple, folks. It works. There's no reason why you can't get stuff right. The beauty of this car is we're going to be pretty much done with it very soon. We've got a complete vintage air kit. It's going to be going in there. We've got a steering wheel sitting on there that's supposed to go on there. This one is pretty much almost done. Just have to do a couple small modifications, wire it up, get some coil packs, get it all set up, and send this baby on its way. But this is the perfect example of how not to do things. You know, when you get sent a car that has that for wires, get the heck out of here. You know, or get sent a car that's using Patriot headers because long tubes don't fit, or an old reworked harness when you paid money for a new one. You know, there's so much. I mean, even plugs. I mean, look at this. These are the plugs that came out of this thing. Really? Engine never ran, but, I mean, engine never ran in front of the customer, but, you know, this is what we're going to give them. Let's just give them this. This will work. Again, just take your time, folks. Sometimes the cheapest is the dearest. I hate to have to put people out there on blast this way and show people, you know, the right way of doing things versus the wrong way of doing things. But if we don't hold ourselves accountable, who is? I mean, this car has an owner who really cares about it, who does not care to take the time. And yes, you know, leaving stuff on it. But when I mean cares about it, wants to put the right parts in it. We've got cam from Brian Tooley, supercharger from Magnuson, some nice parts from Holly. It's running a 6.2 with a 6L80. We've got brand new heads on it, straight out of the box, all nice and cleaned up, ready to roll. We've got ARP head bolts on this thing. It's done the correct way. Not the expensive way, not the best way. The correct way. And there's a difference with that. And as long as you take your time, you can do this too. So yeah, folks, another one of those Builder Chronicles. I hate to have to do these things, but it just seems like I'm ending up fixing so many other things instead of actually building raw stuff to begin with. But hey, we all go through it, right? Let these kind of things be lessons to you if you're coming through. Don't step over dollars to pick pennies. Don't sit there and assume that you know everything. And don't let Google be your only source of research. Go to a show. Go to PRI. Call a major company. Ask them why they're double the price of some eBay brand. They might be able to educate you. You might learn a little something. And you might end up having a build that doesn't end up in the Builder Chronicles. I'm Luis from Creative Street Designs. Have yourself a good one.